Hey guys, it's Chris with Chris Country again. This is going to be the second video in my series of, what to look for when you're buying a used vehicle. This is the part of the video where you're actually looking at the vehicle. Like you've agreed to meet the seller, you're either going directly to the seller or you're meeting halfway, that kind of thing. On a side note, the best way you can look at a vehicle, if at all possible, you want to look at a vehicle cold. Cold meaning it's been sitting for a while, it hasn't been started for a while. Because cold engines, especially diesel trucks, will not lie to you based on their condition. So the first thing I do when I get to a vehicle is I just do a general walk around. I look at it, from a distance. Things I'm looking for, obviously you want to look at the tires. You want to look at how the vehicle is sitting, especially on the truck. Is the bed at a certain angle versus where the cab's at? Do the body lines meet up? If the body lines don't meet up, it probably, in a pickup truck anyway, it probably means that you probably have got a couple of bushings that you're going to need to replace, or a couple of cab mounts. You want to look at the condition of your lights, just overall body condition. Is everything there? You want to take a look at the exhaust, that kind of thing. Now, if the truck's been running, don't touch that tailpipe if it's been running, because those do get hot. But again, you're just wanting to take a general walk around, make mental notes. Now that you've done a general walk around, now you kind of want to start paying more attention. You want to look at your body lines. That's why I referred to them last. Look at the gaps. Like on the hood, for instance, or a door. Is the gap up here tighter or wider versus the gap down here? And on the hood, look at the other side. Try and compare them. Is it tight or looser over here than it is on the other end? This is especially true for your door body lines. You don't really want a vehicle where the body line on the door is like wide up here and really tight down here. Okay? If you have things like that, that's a good indication that this vehicle has been in some sort of a wreck. Or it's twisted around. Now, the next thing I do, look at your doors. Okay, do they close easy? Do they open easy? And do they go all the way closed, or do they kind of want to stop right there when they close? If they stop if they stop further out, it's another way to tell when they're binded up pretty good. All right. You also want to look at a good way to tell how hard the truck's been worked is just pay attention to how the bed's lining up. Look at the tailgate. Look at your tailgate, though. Okay? You just want to see how level your tailgate is. Now, you'll have to forgive me, my bed's kind of messy. But if the tailgate's beat up and, twisted around and beat to death, then that tells you that this truck's been worked pretty hard. Also, in diesel applications, now, I don't think I can move my blanket out of the way, but if you see a diesel or really any sort of heavy-duty truck with like a fifth wheel back here or a gooseneck ball back here, that tells you that truck's been used for towing. You can almost be guaranteed that that transmission, unless it's been noted in the records, has been used for towing. And you'd want to pay really good attention to your transmission. And while you're walking around, you want to pay attention to your tires. How's the tread look? You want to make sure your tread's even all the way across. So let's say the tire's nearly bald on the outside, but tread on the inside. You're looking at an alignment problem. Now, these are the back tires, and typically they don't do that unless the previous owner's been running them over or underinflated. But pay attention to your front end tires. Now, I'm not going to get down on the ground because it's hot out here, and I don't feel like scolding the crap out of myself. But it's also a good idea, only if the truck's cold, to crawl under there and you want to crawl under there and look really good and hard for leaks. You want to check for oil leaks, tranny fluid leaks, that kind of thing. And it's also a good idea to also check the drive shafts. Give your drive shafts a wiggle. That way you can inspect your U-joints. Check your differentials. Make sure they're not leaking either. So now that you've done all that, and if you're happy with everything so far, then the next thing I like to do, especially with a cold engine, is to go ahead and pop the hood. now that we got the hood up, this is where you want to look over the engine. You want to, of course, check your fluids. That's my washer fluid. And I use the new Peak Prestone with the anti-bug in it, so that's why it's that particular color. But again, just check your fluids. You also want to check your check your radiator fluid, only if the engine is cold. If you put your hand on here and there's any sort of heat, I would not recommend taking that loose, because you'll release the pressure and you'll burn the tar out of yourself. You don't want to do this. My engine's cold, so this is okay to do. Just twist it off. You want to look in there. Now my fluid's a little low, but I just checked it the other day and it was pretty full. I might have an air bubble in there or something. But you just want to walk around. You just want to walk around and pay attention. Of course, there's your oil fill, but make sure you check your oil. Make sure you check your drive belt too. In my case, in this case, mine's brand new, or it's not brand new, but probably only about a month old now. So I know I have a good belt. But you want to also check your hoses and this kind of thing. Check your power steering fluid. And it's just a good idea to generally observe. You want to look for leaks, that kind of thing. And now you're ready to move on to the next thing. Oh, also check your battery. I got the Everstart battery, which, I'm not a big fan about these batteries, but so far it's holding up okay. But you also want to take a look at your terminals. Make sure they're not excessively corroded or trying to fall off. Make sure they're tight, that kind of thing. Now you're ready to move over to the inside of the truck. Of course, my truck's a stick shift. So here's what you're gonna do. And keep in mind, I have not started the engine on this truck yet. And that's just the best thing I can recommend. I like to look at things before I start the engine. Go ahead and turn your key on. You want to make sure that you can hear your door dinger. The dinger that, if the door's open and the key's in the ignition, you should hear a dinger. And of course, you'll get a door jar light somewhere on the gas. In my case, it's over here. But one of the first things I like to do is turn the key on and do a light test. You want to make sure that all of the lights are lighting up and all of the gauges that can come alive do come alive. Okay? But the biggest ones that you want to check for and make sure they're coming on are your check engine light, which mine's over there, and just all your other generic warning lights. The seatbelt light, you might have seen it, the ABS, the brake warning light. Now the reason my brake light is flashing is because the parking brake is engaged. And you also want to take a look at your odometer. Now on these Dodges, what you should be able to do is, like, if you have a check engine light code, and keep in mind, with the engine off, if you have the key on engine off, this check engine light will come on most vehicles, but that is just, my understanding is it's an indication to tell you that the engine computer is doing okay and it's communicating. But just because the engine is off and that's on doesn't necessarily indicate that there's a stored code. On these Dodge and Chrysler products, or most of them anyway, what you can do is, if you cycle the key off and on about 3 times within the span of, I think, 5 seconds, you can usually get like a set of P codes that will show up down here in the odometer display. I can't remember if my truck does it, but we'll try it real quick to see. 1, 2, 3. I don't think you did. 1, 2, 3. So you see, I just got a PO300, which I believe that's a random misfire. Which that's pretty much an old code. The truck did have a random misfire, and the gun just means it's done scanning everything. So you can just cycle it off and turn it back on if you want the regular odometer again. But that's the one thing I do before I even start it up, because this can tell you a lot of things. Like, for instance, if you don't have the check engine light, I'd be real leery of that, because if you don't have a check engine light with the key on, engine off, then it usually means that someone's either somehow pulled that light bulb, or you might also have a computer issue. It's just something I would be real leery of, and I would have checked out before you decide to purchase the vehicle. Okay, and with the key on, you can also go through and check other things. Check your stereo, of course. My truck's got an issue lately where the blower is intermittent due to the switch. It needs replaced, but small issue. And but you also want, it's also a good chance to turn on your lights and walk around and make sure that all your lights are working. Turn on the cargo light if you have it, and turn on your interior lights. So we'll do a quick walk around to show you what I'm talking about. And also, don't forget to either turn on the turn signal or turn on your four-ways. I usually do both because I've learned, not only you're checking bulbs, but sometimes if you just pay attention to how the signals and the lights are working, they'll tell you if you're having like weird electrical issues, especially with grounds. So just walk around real quick. If you got somebody, have them work the controls from the inside while you're walking around and checking things from the outside. So you want to check signals, you want to check turn signals, you want to, if you can, check your reverse lights, that kind of thing. So now it's time to go ahead and start up the truck. So go ahead and turn it on. The things you're listening for in the startup. How long, does the engine crank over right away, or does it does it take a long time to start? If you hear I call it a dead spot, but if you hear like a that means you have what I refer to as a compression skip. One or more of your cylinders has low compression. And usually if that's the case, the engine runs like crap. But, just by listening to it start, that tells you, if you're going to have a weak compression due to, the engine's not making compression. Versus other misfires, which can be caused by it needs a tune-up or fuel issues. So again, just listen to how it starts. Now to me, that's a pretty good startup. So you want to come back out, make sure she's not blowing any smoke or anything like that. If you're doing this on a cold day, you might have, the regular exhaust smoke just because hot exhaust gas versus cold air. But it's also a good chance to just walk around and listen. Listen to the engine, listen for noises. Now you guys are probably hearing like a light tick or like a light ticking noise, which is kind of common on these Dodge 4.7s. Alright, now it's time to go on the test drive. Now unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show you guys the views I want to show you and do the drive at the same time, so I'm just going to tell you what to watch for. Especially on an automatic transmission. Now my truck's a manual transmission. On an automatic transmission, you want to go on a good long test drive and get it up to interstate speeds. Most older vehicles will have an overdrive on-off switch. A lot of the newer ones may or may not have that, but for the most part, like late 90s, early 2000s do. So what you want to do is get up to highway speeds, usually between 50 and 60. And you'll know when it's getting into overdrive because the RPMs settle out to usually around 2 grand. But what you want to do is once you're into overdrive, you turn your overdrive off and you just see if it responds. Watch for the RPM to increase and then turn the overdrive back on and watch for it to decrease. Now in an automatic transmission, if you're driving and when it shifts, if you see the RPM spike, like if you see it jump up and then jump down, now again this is an automatic transmission. If you're going into gear and it changes gears and you see it jump and then come back, that tells you that the transmission is slipping, which means the transmission's worn out and you're probably going to need the transmission to be serviced in the near future. But just pay attention to your other gauges too while you're driving. Watch your battery meter, make sure it doesn't drop off. If it does, you're probably looking at an alternator problem. Fuel obviously, make sure that's responding. Keep an eye on the oil pressure and keep an eye on your engine coolant temperature. And of course, you want to, check the other driving functions, make sure your cruise control works and all that good stuff. And of course, test your blower, which mine's not working, but But just, you want to listen and observe. And then, to go ahead and wrap this video up, once you take it on the good long drive, get it good and hot, once you get back to where you started your drive, you want to hop out of the truck, walk around it again, look underneath the truck. I wouldn't recommend crawling under it at this point, but look underneath it. Make sure you don't have any new fluid leaks, like make sure she's not pouring, any sort of oil or fluids out from anywhere underneath the vehicle. And in my opinion, if you really want to be safe and sound, if you have a mechanic friend or if you have a good relationship with a good shop, then by all means, take it to a shop, have them look over it. But at least as of May 2017, I can also tell you, at least here in Colorado, you can take it to like Midas or I think at least Midas, and they'll at least look at your brakes and your suspension and your exhaust. They do a free visual check, which to me is a really great service. They'll be able to tell you like how your brakes are doing, if there's something to worry about on the suspension, or if there's something to worry about in your exhaust. Or you could go to other places like like I said, the mechanic shop. I know Brakes Plus does a good pre-vehicle inspection. As of May 2017, I think their prices are about $120. But they go through the entire vehicle, and they'll be able to give you a list of things that they would be concerned about, that kind of thing. But again, that's, of course, at buyer's discretion. But to me, that's just the things I look for, what I do on my test drives. I'm Chris for Chris Country. I hope this video was informative to you guys, or at least you were entertained by it. Feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys are having a great day, night, week, weekend, whatever time it happens to be, wherever you may be at. And we will see you in the next video. Take care.